What if I told you that Dr. Harley Sawyer isn't really gone? Yes, his apparent destruction in Chapter 4 seemed definitive. We watched as his robotic henchmen shut down and his brain, the last organ keeping him alive, was seemingly destroyed. But what if that wasn't the end? There's a mountain of evidence hinting at his survival, and after analyzing every clue in detail, I've come up with multiple theories explaining how and why the Doctor could make a shocking return in Chapter 5. But before we dive into the theories, let's quickly recap who the Doctor really is and why he's a robot now. Harley Sawyer was once a brilliant yet unhinged scientist at Playtime Co. His obsession with experimentation made him a valuable yet dangerous asset to the company. His work led to the infamous Bigger Bodies initiative, turning humans into monstrous toy-like creatures. However, his reckless behavior forced Playtime Koichi to take drastic measures. Instead of killing him, they devised a method to separate his consciousness from his body, keeping his organs stored in containment tanks while transferring his mind into a digital form. As a result, Harley became the warden of Playtime Co.'s underground prison, monitoring everything through security cameras and controlling an army of robotic henchmen. He was always watching, always calculating, but if he was so intelligent, why did he allow himself to be defeated so easily? Theory number 1. The Doctor's death was part of his plan. Let's start with the most mind-boggling theory. What if Harley Sawyer's death was actually part of his plan all along? Think about it. Throughout the game, we see that Harley is always one step ahead of us. He's been monitoring our every move since Chapter 1. He watched us take down Huggy Wuggy, Mommy Longlegs, and Yarnaby. By Chapter 4, Harley knows how dangerous we are, so why would he just let us waltz into his lair, shut down his life support, and kill him? In fact, it almost feels like Harley was just setting us up for a false sense of victory. In the scene where we destroy his brain, the final organ keeping him alive, everything seems to shut down. His robotic henchmen stop functioning, the power goes out, and it looks like we've won. But then, Harley speaks his final words. You saved no one.
You saved no one.
How could he speak if his consciousness was truly destroyed? This suggests that his death was just a ruse, a way to mislead us into thinking we had won. What if Harley already had a backup plan in place to keep himself alive, using his intelligence to outwit us once again? This theory paints Harley as a master manipulator, allowing us to believe we were victorious while setting up for his true return. His entire life has been a sequence of calculated moves, and this death could be nothing more than the latest piece of his elaborate scheme. Now, let's talk about the prototype. In Chapter 3, we find a tape that shows Dr. Harley Sawyer experimenting on the prototype, but by Chapter 4, Doy reveals that Harley is now working for the prototype. This shift is a major clue. How did their dynamic change from captor and test subject to allies? The answer is simple. Harley had no choice. After being separated from his physical body, he needed to find a way to regain control of Playtime Co., and the prototype was his best option. The prototype, being a powerful and dangerous entity, could help him construct a new body, one that would be far stronger and more resilient than any of his previous robotic forms. Harley's partnership with the prototype is key to understanding how he could be coming back stronger than ever. When you really think about it, this collaboration would be a win-win. The prototype is dangerous in its own right, but with Harley's scientific mind and the prototype's raw power, they could create something unstoppable. So instead of being the villain alone, Harley could be planning to return with a partner who possesses the raw strength he lacks due to his current electronic form. If Harley managed to convince the prototype to build him a new body, one capable of constructing more henchmen, then he might have the perfect vessel to restore himself to full power. The possibility of Harley using the prototype as a tool to reconstruct himself shows the level of his intellect and how far he's willing to go to regain his physical form. One of the most fascinating comparisons to make here is the connection between Dr. Harley Sawyer and William Afton, also known as Springtrap, from Five Nights at Freddy's. Afton's experiments with Remnant allowed him to survive in animatronic form, even after his apparent death. Later, in Help Wanted, Afton returned, revealing that his consciousness had been copied and stored digitally. This connection is crucial because, just like Afton, Harley's mind was transferred into a digital state. What if, before we shut down his final organ, organ, he had already made a digital backup of himself. The fact that he was able to speak after dying suggests that a copy of his consciousness is still out there, lurking in the digital world, ready to return. If this theory holds true, it would explain how Harley could have survived the destruction of his body. His mind could have been uploaded into the Playtime code network or hidden in some other digital format, allowing him to bypass the limitations of his physical form. If Harley had already planned for a digital escape, he would simply be waiting for the right moment to reappear in a new body, one that the prototype could build for him. Let's return to the official teaser trailer for Dr. Harley Sawyer in Chapter 4. In the video, there's a scene showing a group of television screens, one of which lights up with a robotic eye staring directly at us. This mysterious scene is crucial because it suggests that Harley's consciousness has already been transferred into a new robotic form. This is likely the moment when the prototype successfully connected him to his ultimate body. If this theory holds true, then what we faced in Chapter 4 wasn't the full extent of Harley's power. His true form, the Ultra form, is still waiting to be revealed, possibly in Chapter 5. This scene, left out of the final game, suggests that Harley has already moved on from his previous form and is preparing to reveal himself as something far more dangerous. The use of television screens in the trailer also plays into the idea that Harley is still watching us, lurking behind the scenes, waiting for his moment to strike. This cryptic trailer footage isn't just a tease, it's a clear indication that we haven't seen the last of Dr. Harley Sawyer. What does this mean for Chapter 5? If Harley Sawyer is indeed still alive, what can we expect in Chapter 5? Well, for starters, we may encounter him in a new, terrifying form, one that is more powerful and advanced than anything we've seen before. Since he no longer needs his old containment system, his new body could be fully independent and capable of doing far more than his previous robotic henchmen. Additionally, we might see Harley's thirst for revenge. If he allowed us to defeat him on purpose, it's likely that he has been studying us and preparing for his return. With his new alliance with the prototype, Chapter 5 could introduce a terrifying fusion of the two most dangerous entities in Playtime Co. Well, while Chapter 5 is not out yet, I recommend checking out my other videos.